This is Judge Joe Brown, and you're watching We All Be News TV, the
News-free Dixie.
News-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Accomplished actor and star of the hit series Scandal, delivered a ferocious performance in the one-man show about Dick called Turn Me Loose. None other than the one and only Mr. Joe Morton.
Dick Gregory was a man of great intellect, sharp and poignant wit. He used every syllable, every metaphor, every joke, every march, every incarceration, every hour of his life to embarrass this country into providing a more perfect union.
They actually really preach it when you think about where American politics and racial politics are right now. So every joke is relevant and it's still really funny. So part of it is just the attraction to his great work. And then of course, he was, as an artist, he was also a revolutionary. So not only on stage was he doing groundbreaking work, but outside of the stage, he was working with activists, he was leading marches, he was friends with Dr. King and with your father, Mr. Belafonte, and all these great activists who were doing incredible work on the civil rights front. He ran for president. What an interesting life this man has lived.
You're using art to activate. And John, it seems to be a recurring theme in your career. Do you see Dick Gregory in the same way? You see his work embody that same kind of spirit?
I've learned more about him recently and been so inspired by the work he's done and by how ahead of his time he was as a comedian, saying the kinds of things that people weren't saying in the spaces that he was saying them in. And then knowing that not only was he saying these things on stage, but he was backing it up with action, with money, with support for activists. And so when I look at people like him, I look at Harry Belafonte, I look at Paul Robeson, I look at Nina Simone, who said it's an artist's duty to reflect the times in which you live. I feel like all of those artists show me what the definition of an artist is. And to me, the definition of an artist isn't just to make art, but it's to speak truth to what's happening, speak it, and speak beauty into the world, and speak love into the world, and then also get involved.
In a way, the play is, in some ways, a call to action. Because basically, I asked the question all the way, so do you know who you are? Or somebody has to tell you who you are. Are you lost in this world? Or are you waiting for somebody to tell you what you're supposed to be doing? He talks about himself. He says, you know, have I always been the way I am? Well, yes and no. I've not always been as old as I am, but I've always been black. People always come up and ask me, Mr. Gregory, why are you the way you are? You're so outspoken and sure of yourself. Was you always that way, Mr. Gregory? And I have to answer that question with a yes and a no. No, I was not always old like I am now. And yes, I am still black. You know, I wish Clinton was here tonight. I mean, he could give a hell of a speech now, couldn't he? I mean, he was a hell of a president. But I wish he was here tonight so that I could apologize to him for all you black folk. That's right. Because you tricked him. You went into that big black pot, grabbed up some of that black, threw it at him and said, here, white boy, you black. You are first black president. Ain't that nice? Then you went back into that pot and you said, Obama, you just ain't black enough. You know, when I hear people complaining and blaming Obama for everything, I have to ask myself, anybody out here old enough to remember Nixon? Black leaders in Washington all got together and wrote Nixon a letter thanking him for not having any black people in his administration. I mean, that's all we would have needed. They would have blamed that whole Watergate mess on one black dude. G. Gordon Liddy would have pointed to the one black man in the administration and said, Judge Sirica, yeah, he did it. Jabbo James, it was him. I mean, they blame us for everything, even blame us for slavery. Well, you know, we just went over to Africa to get us some elephants when these niggas just jumped on the ship. Talking about, oh, take me back with you, please. Take me. All right. What else can we do for you? Well, you can put some chains on our legs so that when we're on the ship, we don't slip off. White folks in this country dirtied up the word black, not us. Angel food cake is white. Devil's food cake is, understand me now, back in the day, we came up with two innocent words, black power. White folks went out of their minds. Now, had we come up with brown strength, everyone would have accepted that. We wouldn't have been able to walk down the street without our white brothers grinning and greeting us with brown strength, my brother, brown strength. I guess finally having a black man as president kind of confused white folks or lured them into thinking that the world was coming to an end, that the minorities were going to take over. I mean, no sooner did Obama take office, when the economy turned so bad, you white folks stopped paying your bills too. You falling right down to that same hole we already in. And I bet you didn't think you'd be sharing this black hole with us, now did you? Now did you? But here you is, right here with us in this crumbling infrastructure. Well, let me be your Dick Gregory welcoming committee. This country is in trouble. Warehousing all these young black men in prison. I mean, we got more young black men in prison now than during slavery in 1850. And how can y'all cry about the crucifixion of Christ and not be against capital punishment? I mean, you all know your Christ was killed by the state, right? I mean, he wasn't killed by no drunk chariot driver. And if he came back today with his long hair and long beard and long gown looking like Bin Laden, they throw him right out the country. And if he came back to Texas today, they throw him right into the electric chair. Then all them Christians would have to walk around with little gold electric chairs hung around their neck. And how do you make the sign of the chair anyway? Now, how long you gonna wait to find out who you are? How long you gonna wait for someone to tell you who you are? You scared. The system done beat you down good, man. They got you believing that revolution is black against white, Muslims against Christians, Jews against Palestinians, liberals against conservatives. As long as they've got you fighting with your neighbor, the rich man can rob you blind. You see, when you accept injustice, you become injustice. When you coexist with filth, you become filth. It's all those myths you buying into. You have everything you need to live your entire life just fine. We were all born with wisdom. They just renamed it intelligence so that they could test you on it and rank you on it and make you pay a whole lot of money to get it. I got 10 children and I ain't taught them nothing. So, have I always been the way I am? Yes, I have. And so have you. I just might be a little funnier than you all. That's all.
Joe Gordon, ladies and gentlemen, starring as Dick Gregory in Turn Me Loose. Just one bit of trivia if you're ever on Jeopardy. When Joe was on stage on Broadway, Dick simultaneously was on stage at Caroline's Comedy Club. And that's the first time in history an individual had a play depicting them on stage on Broadway while they appeared on Broadway simultaneously. That was Dick Gregory. Now,